So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Word. And so, I'm going to walk the scripture, so I'm not going to just read the scripture, but I'm going to walk it. But I do encourage you at the end of this, sometimes when you're in your own Bible study, I do encourage you to, because we're going to be talking about John chapter 4, which is Jesus and the Samaritan woman. Okay? So if you guys want to go to chapter 4, we can kind of walk it out.
Amen.
All right, everybody there? If you're not there, if you're there, say amen. If you're not there, say amen.
Amen.
Okay, I'm going to let y'all have a seat because we're going to walk the text. We're not just going to read it.
Okay.
We're going to walk this thing out, okay? So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to walk it out.
Get it out there.
We're going to walk this one out. And we are going to start with, well, let's just start with the first one, okay? It says,
John 4:1.
yeah, John 4:1. It says, Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard Jesus is baptizing, and I'm going to be in the New Living Translation, okay? So I might read a little bit different. And it says, Jesus is baptizing and making more disciples than John, though Jesus himself didn't baptize them. His disciples did. So he left Judea to return to Galilee. He had to go through Samaria on the way. Eventually, he came to the Samaritan village of Sychar, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. And Jesus, tired from the long walk, sat wearily beside the well at noontime. First of all, you kind of get the impression that when you're reading that Jesus never got tired. Okay? That he was always up and he was always happy. It's not true. His ministry was, can you imagine being followed by 5,000 people? Can you imagine you would never get any sleep? Can you imagine you wouldn't get any rest? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine everywhere you went, 5,000 people followed you, and they all wanted you to touch them. And they wanted to touch you. Because if they could just touch you, they could get healed. How tired do you think he got?
Yeah.
And remember, he was not only the Christ, but he was a man. He got hungry.
Yeah.
He got tired.
Yeah.
He felt pain.
Yeah.
You don't think his feet hurt?
Yeah.
After he walked and walked and walked and walked and walked?
Come on, baby. Yes, sir.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
How much patience do you think he had to have for us?
Yes, Lord.
How much patience do you think, how many times does it say, he tells his disciples, what am I doing here? Why do I keep putting up with you? How many times did he say that? He said, are you not learning anything? Why am I standing here? So anyway, he did get tired. So he sat by the well, right? Jacob's well. He was tired. And soon, a Samaritan woman came to draw water. Now listen, we don't know anything about this woman's name, right?
Right.
But her conversation with the Lord is the longest one-on-one chat recorded in Scripture.
Wow.
With him. It's reason enough to give this sister another look. All right? Okay?
Come on.
Let's give this sister a look. It was high noon and hot. Jesus was tired from traveling, and he chose a sensible place to rest. Right outside. He was waiting for his disciples, by the way. He had sent them to the town. He had sent them to the town to get food, and that's why he was by himself. Because guess what? Again, he got tired of folks. So he had to go up on a mountain. He had to go into, if he wanted to be by himself, he had to go so far out that he was kind of like, he had to either go in, he didn't go in disguise, but he just didn't go. He just go around people. So he sent his disciples for food. Oh, here comes our unnamed woman. She appears by the well with the clay pot. She appears with the clay pot. And Jesus, because she didn't speak to him. She didn't speak to him. She didn't even act like he wasn't there. We'll get into the reason why in a minute. But Jesus said, will you give me a drink? Uh-oh. What just happened? There he goes again. Jesus. Breaking the rules. Society says the Jews weren't supposed to speak to Samaritans.
Come on.
Society says men weren't permitted to address women without their husbands present.
Well,
Society says rabbis, teachers, preachers, men, he had no business. They had no business talking to shady ladies like this.
Come on, baby girl. You right?
But you know Jesus, he was willing to toss out the rules, right?
He was.
He was.
Spin the roof,
Yeah.
amen.
But guess what? Our Samaritan woman, she wasn't. She didn't want to toss out the rules. She didn't want to toss out the rules. Because she said to him in the next, she said, what did she say? She said, he said, okay, so soon as Samaritan woman came, we're in 7. Soon as Samaritan came to draw water. And Jesus said to her, please give me a drink. He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone to the village to buy some food. The woman was surprised, for Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. She said to Jesus, you are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink?
Well,
Because aren't you the one that said I'm dirty? Aren't you the one that, aren't the Jews the one that would rather cross the river twice than to come see us? And now you want to ask me for a drink?
Come on, baby girl.
No. You want to ask me for a drink, and I'm a Samaritan woman. Not only that, but you breaking some rules, brother. You ain't supposed to be here. And you sure ain't supposed to be talking to me.
Wow.
But there you go, Jesus breaking the rules. Let's talk about the reason. I had to research this because I was like, what? You were talking about how Peter, and let's correlate this. You were talking about how Peter had to convince them to let the Gentiles into the church. Well, because the inclusion of the Gentiles happened after the crucifixion, do we really know how Jesus felt about that? Do we? This right here tells you exactly how he felt about it. Because it was the same thing. Let me explain why. I had to research it because I said, what? They didn't like the Samaritans? I don't know what paper here. There. All right, so let's talk about the Samaritans for a minute. The Samaritans versus the Jews. Okay? And this is, it kind of, when you think about the Holocaust, you think, really? And they got upset about it? Because they outcast the Samaritans just because of who they were, because they weren't purebloods. Which is what Hitler did to the Jews, right? They weren't pure. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Holocaust was right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the Jews did the same things to the Samaritans.
All right.
So what happened is when they had war, and I'm going to just kind of paraphrase it, right? When they had war, let me see if I get this right. They had war and there was a split. Okay? Some of the Israelites that stayed in Syria. They stayed in Syria, so they brought foreigners to Syria because they were having problems. Okay?
Right.
Well, some of the Israelites ended up marrying and having relationships with the Syrians.
Right.
Okay? These Samaritans, they didn't take on the pagan holidays as the Syrians. Okay? But they still intermixed with them. And they converted the Syrians to their God.
All right.
Okay? So here you are. Let's talk about this. Jews and Samaritans, they both believed that they came from the seed of Abraham and that they were the chosen people. Jews and Samaritans. Both groups worship the same God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's only one God. That's what they believe. Both considered Moses the lawgiver, the prophet of God. So somebody today, it's like, okay, well, what's the difference? There's not much difference between a Jew and a Samaritan. But both the Jews and the Samaritans, these three things made all the difference in the world. Samaritans only accepted the Pentateuch, which are the first 5 books of the Bible, which are the scriptures of Moses. Anything else, the Samaritans threw out. They threw out all the books of the prophets and everything else.
All right.
Samaritans made their sacrifices and celebrated their high holy days at Mount Gerizim. Do Do you believe those Samaritans? They got so bold that they went and they built themselves a temple according to God, the same specifications as the Jews did. Because remember, the Holy Land is in Israel, right?
Right.
Okay, well, there was another one on Mount Gerizim that looked just like it. Because it was built to the specifications, and that's the one the Samaritans said. They said, this is where we are. And that's why Jesus tell her, woman, you know what? There's going to come a day where you're not going to worship on this mountain or in that synagogue.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Right?
It's there.
So they made their sacrifices and celebrated their holy days on Mount Gerizim. And you know what else?
Whatever.
So because they weren't going to Israel or to Jerusalem to do their sacrifices, what were they doing? They were taking money out of the Jews. Because that's where they went to pay their taxes and their tithes. Okay? Ain't nothing new under the sun. The same thing that we deal with today is the same thing that they dealt with back then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you're right.
Amen.
You're right about it.
The Samaritans considered the Levite priest to be the highest of the religion. And